Hi, sorry. It's been 48 hours since I saw Argylle in the movie theater, and I have just sort of been lost in a fog of rage and hatred for the last 2 days. But now we're making a YouTube video about it, so let's do that. This is Austin Archer's YouTube exclusive content.
YouTube exclusive content.
So Argylle is a movie that was written by Jason Fuchs and directed by Matthew Vaughn. And it recently came out in theaters. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell, and Henry Cavill is in it, and so is Dua Lipa, but they're both in it for a very brief amount of time, but they're on all the posters and in all the trailers a lot. Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Samuel L. Jackson, John Cena, Ariana DeBose. It's really got a stacked cast, and I think it might be the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm serious. And you know, I'm judging Argylle against other mainstream Hollywood movies. So movies that were produced by major motion picture studios and received a, wide national or international theatrical release. Movies that have real mainstream movie stars in them. Like Lady Ballers by The Daily Wire is probably a worse movie than Argylle, but not by much, and I don't really count Lady Ballers as a real movie anyway, so when it comes to real movies, actual movies made by actual movie studios with actual movie stars in them, I honestly am racking my brain and I can't think of a movie that I have ever seen that I dislike more than Argylle. Calling Argylle a bad movie is an insult to bad movies. Like, I like bad movies. I enjoy watching bad movies. I like watching the Expendables movies and the Fast and the Furious movies. I'm totally okay with sitting down for a movie that requires you to just sort of turn your brain off and have a good time and suspend your disbelief constantly. I'm okay with that. But Argylle's not just like a bad movie that's a good time if you can just sort of turn your brain off and try to enjoy the ride. Argylle is something else entirely. It's some other kind of heretofore unknown cinematic monstrosity. There are bad movies, and then there are really bad movies, and then somewhere all the way down in a sub-basement level of purgatory, there's whatever the hell Argylle is. And look, I'm not just a hater or a person who doesn't understand Matthew Vaughn's directorial style. I usually like Matthew Vaughn movies, and Matthew Vaughn has made his fair share of bad movies that I enjoy despite them being bad. But as I've already said, Argylle's not that. Argylle is too bad to be enjoyed. It's too awful to be believed. It's kind of impossibly awful. Argylle's so bad that it's made me question my sanity. Like, I'm not sure that that's actually the movie that I went and saw, because the movie that I saw couldn't possibly exist. Like, in my brain, there's no possible way that that's a real thing, that a real screenwriter who's written several films, I mean, bad movies, but he still, like, has the job as a real screenwriter in the film industry. In my brain, it doesn't make sense that a guy like that could actually have written a movie like this, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem possible that a director like Matthew Vaughn could have made a movie like Argylle. And again, I'm not saying that Matthew Vaughn's this, like, incredible auteur filmmaker. I'm just saying that's how bad this film is. I really like the cast in this film. I like Bryce Dallas Howard. I like Sam Rockwell. I like Henry Cavill. I like Samuel L. Jackson. I like Bryan Cranston and Catherine O'Hara. I think John Cena is fine. Ariana DeBose, I also like. And it doesn't seem possible to me that all of those people and all of their agents all read this screenplay and went, yes, let's make that movie. That doesn't seem possible. I was very lost and distraught and angry after seeing Argylle a couple nights ago in the theater, and I didn't know what to do with all of my emotions, so I took to Threads to write a very angry screed about how awful the movie was, and this one person responded to me and said, you know, I really enjoyed Argylle. Should I feel bad about my movie taste for liking it when you seemed to dislike it so much? And I replied, you know, no, you're allowed to enjoy things, that's fine, but I asked this person, you know, sincerely, do you feel like you understood the plot of this film? Like, do you feel like you followed everything that happened? And this person responded and said, yeah, you know, I think I did follow the plot, and, you know, they suggested that maybe I had just missed a few crucial details, and that's why I felt like the movie didn't make any sense. And I responded trying to be as respectful as I could and let this person know that I wasn't trying to be rude or trying to bully them. I said, I think that you actually are the one who missed several crucial details, because I really believe this, that if you were actually able to follow the plot of that film, you would understand that the plot of that film makes absolutely no sense. And so this person responded to me and said, well, maybe it would be helpful for me if you could go beat for beat through the plot and sort of lay it out and explain in your words what to you doesn't make sense about the plot, and then maybe I could see it more clearly. And so that's why we're here. That's why I'm making this YouTube video. It's just for this guy that I was talking to on Threads. And it's also because this movie has a 70% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which I just think is entirely unacceptable. Again, people are allowed to like things. You're allowed to enjoy something. It's okay for us to have a difference of opinion on a movie or a song or a TV show. That's fine. But 7 out of 10 people going to the movie theater and seeing Argylle and thinking, that was pretty good, that's not fine. That's not acceptable to me. I don't accept those numbers. Unacceptable! There are so many things wrong with Argylle, obviously, and so many of the bad reviews that I've watched on YouTube and read online have pointed out a lot of these things, like the terrible overusage of really bad CGI in the action sequences, the general messiness of the style of the action sequences, which again is uncharacteristic of a Matthew Vaughn film. Usually Matthew Vaughn films, even if they suck, still are pretty reliably stylish. People look good and the action sequences look good. Not in Argylle though. The action sequences are just incomprehensible messes. You can't tell what's going on in any of them. And often this is specifically because of stylistic choices that Matthew Vaughn is making as the director. There will be an action sequence happening where Sam Rockwell is fighting a bunch of bad guys, and Bryce Dallas Howard keeps going between seeing Sam Rockwell as Sam Rockwell and seeing Sam Rockwell as Henry Cavill, who is the main character from the book series that she authored. This could be a cool idea, but it's just executed so poorly, so it makes the action sequences really hard to watch, and it makes it really hard to tell what's happening in the action sequences. It's like a fight scene that's happening, but every other camera shot, the main character in the fight scene keeps changing to another person, and that other person is doing different moves from the person they were before. So it's not like there's a continuity in the choreography of what's happening in the fight. It's like you're watching 2 different fight scenes layered on top of each other. There's also a stylistic choice in one of the climactic fight scenes where he chooses to have the 2 main characters using colored smoke to sort of hide themselves from the bad guys, but it also just hides most of the action sequence from the audience. Like, we can't really tell what's going on because everything's happening in large clouds of colorful smoke. Another just weird, stylish problem with the movie that normally isn't seen with Matthew Vaughn movies is that a lot of the characters are really poorly costumed. Specifically, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill looks awful in this movie. He's never looked worse. And his character is the character in the movie that it's the most important for him to look good. Like, the character that he plays needs to look good way more than any other character in the movie. If everyone else's costumes are shit, he needs to look great. And it's the exact opposite in Argylle. No one really looks great, but no one looks worse than Henry Cavill. He looks terrible. At the very least, somebody in the costume department needed to step in and say, we need to tailor these suits better so that they look more flattering on him. But yeah, as I said, there are a lot of bad reviews for Argylle, and deservedly so, and most of them seem to focus on these technical problems. This overusage of CGI in the action sequences, the sort of general messiness of the action sequences, the bad character design for Henry Cavill. What I don't see nearly enough of these bad reviews focusing on, though, is the plot of this movie. Because that, to me, is the greatest crime being committed here. There are so many things wrong with Argylle, but nothing makes the case for it being one of the worst films ever made more than just a sincere examination of the plot. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this YouTube video. I'm just going to be walking you through the plot of the movie Argylle. So, you know, spoiler alert, but also don't go see Argylle. Don't go spend money and spend 2.5 hours of your life. Yes, it's 2.5 hours long. Don't go do that. Don't go watch that movie. I promise you, your time will be better spent just watching this YouTube video. But anyway, here we go. Here's the plot of Matthew Vaughn and Jason Fuchs's Argylle. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know about the plot for Argylle is it's all about the twist. There's a major plot twist in this movie kind of every 5 minutes. So the first major plot twist of Argylle happened before Argylle was ever released in theaters. So going back as far as like 2019 or 2020, Matthew Vaughn started telling different film publications that he had acquired the rights to a manuscript for a book called Argylle that was a spy thriller written by an author named Ellie Conway. And he was telling people that this was one of the most amazing books he'd ever read and that it was going to revolutionize the spy thriller genre, that Argylle was the best character he'd heard of or read since James Bond. A lot of people were curious, who is this author that he's talking about? Who is this Ellie Conway? Because this is a person that no one had ever heard of. D'Angelo Wallace did an amazing video breaking down all of this sort of pre-release drama and the conspiracy theories that went into it, and there were people who thought that it might be Taylor Swift who wrote the novel and all kinds of different wild things. I'm going to link D'Angelo Wallace's video in the description because it's amazing and you should definitely watch that next. But the Cliff's Notes version of it is, Ellie Conway is no one. Ellie Conway is not real, and that's major plot twist 0. That's the plot twist that happened before the movie was even released, and that happened with the release of the first trailer for the movie. Fans who had been following along and trying to figure out who Ellie Conway is were told in the first trailer for Argylle that Ellie Conway is actually a fictional character in the Argylle movie, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, that Bryce Dallas Howard is playing a fictional author named Ellie Conway who has written a series of books called Argylle about this fictional super spy named Agent Argylle, played by Henry Cavill in the movies. Okay, sure, that's fine. Kind of interesting, kind of fun, just some viral marketing, a little publicity stunt that Matthew Vaughn was pulling to try to drum up excitement for this new film franchise that he's trying to launch. So the movie opens with this really badly staged action sequence with Henry Cavill, who's wearing this terrible suit that he looks awful in, and Dua Lipa, who, by the way, is in the movie for like 5 seconds. That's another thing that this movie has been criticized for a lot, is how much the marketing features Henry Cavill and Dua Lipa, and both of them combined are maybe in this movie for a total of 10 minutes. Like, Henry Cavill shot on this movie no more than 4 days. It was probably 3 days, no more than 4, and Dua Lipa definitely only shot for a day. But anyway, the movie opens with this really bad action sequence where Henry Cavill is chasing Dua Lipa through Greece, and it's all really bad CGI, and Dua Lipa shoots Ariana DeBose, who's on Henry Cavill's spy team, and Ariana DeBose dies, and then we find out that John Cena is on the spy team as well, and then we find out that this whole action sequence and all of these characters, all of this is just happening inside of a book written by Ellie Conway, and it's book 4 in a series of books that she's written about this super spy named Agent Argylle. She's reading book 4 to a bunch of people at a reading, and, you know, then they do a little Q&A afterward where somebody raises their hand and is like, "You know so much about the spy world. Are you sure that you're not a spy, Ellie?" And she's like, "Nope, it's just a lot of research that I've done. There's no way that I could be a spy." Then there's another person that asks a question and says, "Hey, can I take you on a date?" And she goes, "Nope, I've actually got a hot date tonight." Then we go to Ellie's house, which is this really nice looking cabin on a lake, and we see what Ellie's hot date is, and it's Ellie alone at home with her cat named Alfie, who's CGI for no reason. He's just a CGI cat for the whole movie, and it looks bad, and there's no reason why the cat needs to be CGI. It just is. And Ellie is sitting down with a glass of wine to finish book 5 in the Argylle series. And I'm telling you, she sits down and she writes maybe 4 sentences, and then that's the end of the book. She writes like not even a full paragraph, and then she goes, "The end." And it's like, wait, that's what you had to do? This guy asked you out on a date and you said, "No, I'm busy." And what you had to do was go home, get a glass of wine, and sit down and write maybe a paragraph of prose to finish your book. That's how much you hadn't written in this manuscript. Like, you were just a paragraph away from finishing the book. That means that in some other scene, she was writing the final chapter to book 5, and she just stopped a few sentences before the final chapter was done and went, "I'll finish the rest of these sentences on another night." That's just a little taste of how stupid this screenplay is and how bad of a writer Jason Fuchs is. But that's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how bad this movie is about to get. So anyway, she finishes book 5 and she sends the manuscript to her mother, who is played by Catherine O'Hara. And I love Catherine O'Hara, and she is awful in this movie. She is so bad in this movie and so useless, and it is such a offensive use of her talent. Like, if God forbid Catherine O'Hara died sometime soon and this was the last movie she was ever in, I would fist fight Matthew Vaughn over that, for doing that to her legacy. But anyway, Catherine O'Hara calls her daughter to tell her she read book 5, she loves it, but she feels like book 5 needs one more chapter. Ellie's got a bad case of writer's block, so she decides to get on a train and go down to the city, whichever city her parents live in, the movie never says. She decides to go down and surprise her parents with a visit because she thinks a surprise visit home might jar something loose and help her finish the book. On this train ride to go visit her parents, we run into big plot twist number 1. Sam Rockwell sits down across from her on the train, and he reveals to her that not only is he a super spy, but the things that she's writing about in her books are actually happening in real life, and they're real, and for some reason she's able to predict real things that are going on in the real world of espionage. So Sam Rockwell explains to her that in her 5th book that she's currently writing, she's about to reveal the location of a master file that contains information on all of the bad things that the group of bad spies that exists in the world have been doing over the years. And that's what this movie has. It has a group of good spies called the Directorate and a group of bad spies called the Division. And the movie never tells you why the bad spies are bad or why the good spies are good. It just tells you that these are the good spies and these are the bad spies. There's literally nothing in the plot of the movie that the bad spies are trying to do that's bad. It's not like they're trying to like do a thing that would be bad for the world. They're just trying to not let this master file that talks about all of the bad stuff they've done in the past. They're trying to not let that master file get into the wrong hands. Also, there's this whole thing about how like the Division used to be the Directorate, but they went rogue and they became bad. It's all really stupid and poorly written. Turns out Sam Rockwell is telling the truth, and mini twist, just every motherfucker on this train is part of Division. They're just all evil assassin spies. There's like 50 people on this train that are all members of Division and all undercover trying to kill Ellie, and they all get activated at the same moment, and all of a sudden everyone on this train is trying to kill Ellie. But anyway, Sam Rockwell and Ellie are able to escape this train, and they head off to work together to go and figure out where this master file is and to finish Ellie's 5th book. Sam and Ellie take a private jet that they find in the middle of the woods to London, which is a big deal because Ellie is afraid to fly, and who cares? It just is so stupid, it doesn't matter. But anyway, they're in London, they're looking for the master file, they're trying to put together where it might be. A bunch of boring stuff happens. They wind up at this hacker's apartment where they think that the master file might be. They have another bad action sequence where Division shows up to try to kill both of them, and Sam Rockwell has to kill all of the agents, and Ellie keeps seeing Sam Rockwell turn into Henry Cavill, and it's that really bad device that makes the action sequence not make a lot of sense and makes it really hard to follow. There's more bad, unnecessary CGI, and Sam and Ellie are able to escape, and they make it to a hotel where they sort of hunker down. And it's time for big plot twist number 2. While in the hotel where they're hunkering down, it's revealed that Sam actually wants to kill Ellie. And the way that this happens is Sam Rockwell's character goes into the bathroom of the hotel that they're both in, and he turns on some running water, and then he just has a very loud phone conversation about how he hates Ellie, and he wants to shoot her in the head, and how she doesn't suspect a thing. And she hears him saying all of this because she's 3 feet away from him in the next room, and he's speaking very loudly. I hate this movie. I hate Argylle. Anyway, Ellie escapes from the hotel room where she was staying with Sam Rockwell's character, and she goes to a payphone and she calls her parents, and she tells her parents to come to London and meet her there because she doesn't know who else to call. So she goes to a hotel to meet her parents, and that's where we find big plot twist number 3. Her parents are actually the bad guys. So yeah, going back here, one thing I didn't tell you is that Bryan Cranston is the director of the Division, the group of the bad super spies, and we were introduced to that earlier in the film. And she goes to the hotel, and we find out that her mom, Catherine O'Hara, is married to Bryan Cranston. That's her dad. And so it's a big plot twist. Her parents are bad spies. They're bad guys. And Sam Rockwell shows up to the hotel where Ellie is with her parents, and he's like, Ellie, those aren't your parents. Those are bad guys. And then Catherine O'Hara's like, yes, I'm a bad guy. And she has a British accent now, which is a really bad British accent. I'm telling you, she's really bad in this movie. And Sam Rockwell's like, yeah, see, your parents are bad guys. And so he takes out her parents. He sort of incapacitates both of them. He doesn't kill them. He could just kill them, but he doesn't. He just sort of knocks both of them out, and then he escapes with Ellie. But she's like, well, I don't want to go with you either. I heard you on the phone saying that you wanted to kill me. And he's like, don't worry about that. If I wanted to kill you, wouldn't have I already have done it by now? And she's like, you know what? Good point. I'll go with you. And so they get in a car, and Ellie falls asleep, and they drive to a vineyard in the south of France. That's right. They drive from London to the south of France. in a car, and Ellie just sleeps the whole way. I looked it up, and that's like a 6.5 hour drive, and it might even include a part where your car has to be parked on a ferry and ferried across water to get to France. So Ellie just slept through all of that. She just sleeps through all of that, and she wakes up when they're in France and they arrive at this vineyard. The vineyard belongs to a guy named Alfie, which is the name of Ellie's cat. So the screenplay's like, oh, something's going on here. And we find out that Alfie, who is Samuel L. Jackson, is actually the former deputy director of the CIA. And he reveals to Ellie, big plot twist number 4, Ellie is the real Agent Argylle. So this is probably the biggest of the big plot twists in the movie. This is like the major thing, is who is Agent Argylle, and it turns out that it's Ellie. She's Agent Argylle, but her name was Rachel Kyle, so she is Agent R. Kyle. And what happened was she was out on a mission trying to track down the master file, and she got injured, and she had some brain damage and some amnesia. And Catherine O'Hara and Bryan Cranston from The Division intercepted her at the hospital that she was at, and they brainwashed her to think that they were her parents and that her name was Ellie Conway. And then they tried to give her little clues to, like, turn her into a novelist. Like, they just give her a diary and tell her, you should write in this diary. And then she writes 4 novels over the course of 5 years. Well, really 5 novels over the course of 5 years, using her subconscious memories as Agent R. Kyle, and talking about all of the things that she used to do in the field as Agent R. Kyle. And they're waiting to get to book number 5, where she's going to reveal where the master file is. This is where I really can't believe I'm saying the things that I'm saying. I can't believe, like, as I'm saying it to you, as I'm saying it out loud, I can't believe that I'm saying it. I can't believe that it's real. I can't believe that this is actually the plot of this movie.
Hey, sorry about that. I just needed to take a little break because I was getting a little overheated about how much I dislike Argylle. I decided it would be best for everyone's mental health if I just got into some comfy clothes and did the rest of the video from bed. Please try not to look at my missing piece of drywall here. That was a command strip, like a command hanger that came off, and now I just have a hole in my drywall. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyway, before we move forward with the plot of this movie, I think it would be good if we stopped and did a recap of the linear plot thus far, given all of the information that we currently have. So according to everything that we're currently aware of at this point in the movie, this is the linear plot. A super spy named Rachel Kyle was on an assignment to find a master file that had information on a bad group of super spies called The Division. She found the master file, but she was injured and woke up in the hospital with amnesia. The bad spies then intercepted her at the hospital and brainwashed her to forget her own identity completely and to believe that she was someone named Ellie Conway, and that Catherine O'Hara and Bryan Cranston, who are actually the leaders of this group of bad spies, are her parents. Their plan was then presumably to subtly coax her into becoming a novelist who would go on to write several internationally popular, best-selling novels about her time as a super spy based on her subconscious memories of that time. The reason they want her to write all of these novels over the course of 5 years is because they're hoping that in one of these novels, she will reveal the location of this master file that she had discovered back
when she was Rachel Kyle. As she's about to finish her 5th novel and write the chapter where she's going to reveal the location of the master file, the division sends a bunch of assassins after her to kill her, and Sam Rockwell, who's part of the team of good super spies, comes and rescues her, and it all results in her getting her memory back and being told that she used to be a super spy named Rachel Kyle, or R. Kyle. And that's essentially the plot of the movie so far. And I want to be really clear, if that was the plot of the movie and there were no other plot twists, that would be a bad movie. That's a bad movie. That's a bad plot. Villains in action movies often have plans that don't make a lot of sense or are kind of stupid, but that's a really exceptionally stupid plan by the villains. Brainwashing someone and spending 5 years pretending to be their parents and hoping that they write 5 best-selling novels based on their subconscious memories just so you can hopefully get them to write 1 chapter that reveals the location of a thing you want? That's just kind of an extraordinarily stupid plan. That's an extraordinarily stupid thing to come up with and to write into a screenplay. But what I could say, if I wanted to be charitable, is that it still has many storytelling fundamentals properly in place. Like, it's a story that requires a lot of suspension of disbelief, but it's still a story where characters are doing things to get things from other characters. They are acting based on motivations. The bad guys are doing a thing to the good guy because the good guy has a thing that they want. The problem is, Argylle is a 2.5 hour long movie, and we're only halfway through. We've still got many more major plot twists yet to come that are going to take this movie from being just a stupid and bad movie to being one of the most incomprehensibly terrible movies ever made. So here we go. Everyone comfy? Great. Let's continue with the plot of the movie Argylle. So now that Rachel Kyle, or Ellie Conway, or let's just call her Bryce Dallas Howard, has realized who she really is, she and Sam Rockwell head off to the Arabian Peninsula to meet a person named the Keeper at her palace in the desert. The Keeper is the person who has the master file. Finally, at long last, Agent Rachel Kyle and Agent Sam Rockwell, I can't remember his character's name, are going to get the master file. They have a ridiculously stupid dance scene first where it's revealed that Sam Rockwell and Rachel Kyle were in love with each other back when they used to be super spies together. So that's some fun information. But then Agent Rachel Kyle gets to have her meeting with the Keeper, who just gives her the master file on a thumb drive and then leaves the room and is like, here, you can use my computer and check it out and make sure that it's the right thing. And she does that. She looks and it is the master file and she's like, yeah, we got it. Woohoo, we did it. But as she's kind of skimming through the different files within the master file, she discovers, big plot twist number 5, she's actually one of the bad guys. Agent Rachel Kyle isn't a good super spy at all. She's actually one of the top assassins for the division. She's a bad super spy. But before our brains can properly digest the implications of big plot twist number 5, we're hit almost immediately with big plot twist number 6. The Keeper is working with the division and has been this whole time, meaning that division had the master file this entire time. They were aware of where it was this whole fucking movie. There are more plot twists yet to come in this film, but these are the plot twists that are currently making me question my sanity. Because while there are many bad reviews for this film that are talking about, you know, the overusage of bad CGI or the incomprehensible action sequences or Henry Cavill's terrible flat top and suits, I can't find anyone on the internet who is talking about the implications of these two plot twists. It's making me question, like, did we all watch the same movie? Did you all see it? Did you all understand what those plot twists mean? Because once that happens, that's game over. That's game over. Whatever we were holding on to in the way of storytelling fundamentals, it's gone now. It's out the window. Do you see? Do you see now? Do you understand? Because what these two plot twists mean is that the linear plot of this movie is now this. Agent Rachel Kyle, a top assassin for a group of bad super spies called the Division, tracks down a master file that has a bunch of information on it about all of the bad things that Division has been doing over the years. While on that assignment, she's injured and wakes up in the hospital with amnesia. At that point, her teammates and colleagues, fellow bad spies, Bryan Cranston and Catherine O'Hara, show up at the hospital and brainwash her into believing that she's their daughter, and then pretend to be her parents for 5 years while she writes several novels detailing all of the stuff that she's done as a bad super spy in her life. None of it makes any sense anymore. Do you understand? Do you see now? Do you get it now? The bad guys brainwashed another bad guy. They brainwashed their own teammate. Why? Why'd they do that? And you could say, well, they still needed to get the location of the master file. First of all, why couldn't they have just asked their teammate, like waited for her to recover from her brain injury and then been like, hey, where's the master file? But also that doesn't even matter, because what we find out in big plot twist number 6 is that they've known where the master file is this whole fucking movie. They always knew where it was. It was with the keeper who was working with them. So they brainwashed their teammate to get information out of her that they already had. Remember when I said that, like, in the before plot, the plot that we just recounted, like, at least it made storytelling fundamental sense because it was bad guys doing a thing to a good guy because the good guy has a thing that they want. So it's like they have a goal and they're acting in ways that are aligned with them achieving their goals. Now there's none of that. It's gone now. That's all gone. Now it's just characters doing random shit so that twists can be revealed to the audience and the movie can be like, whoa, that makes your movie not. That makes your movie nothing. That means that everything we just watched is just nothing. Also, why did they send assassins to kill her when she was about to finish book 5? Why? Why is that in the movie? First of all, if we're doing plot number 1 where she's a good super spy and they were brainwashing her to try to get the information out of her to figure out where the master file is, it's still like, why'd you send assassins to kill her right when she was about to deliver the information that you've spent 5 years waiting for her to deliver? Why are you sending assassins to kill her right when she's about to give you the thing that you brainwashed her to give you? But with this new plot, with these new plot twists, what are we even doing? You brainwashed your own teammate to get information out of her that you already had, and then you just randomly, after 5 years of her writing novels that are international best-selling novels, so like, presumably the bad guys don't want the information on the master file getting out into the public, yet they brainwashed one of their own teammates to write several books detailing all of that information. But right when she was about to reveal the location of the master file, they send people to kill her. Why? Why any of it? Do you see Do those of you who thought that this movie made sense see now? Does the guy I was talking to on Threads, do you see? Do the 70% of people on Rotten Tomatoes who said that they liked this movie, do you see? Do you understand now that you liked a nothing movie? That the story that you enjoyed is nothing? Who is Agent Argylle? Is Agent Argylle a good guy? No, but also, like, not really a bad guy. Who cares? Nothing is anything in this movie. It's all just plot twists. And, you know, maybe if there were a merciful God in the universe, the movie would just end right there and we'd all be spared. But it's not. It's not over, and it doesn't end right there. It keeps going, and there are more plot twists. So let's keep on going. All right, so Catherine O'Hara, Sam Rockwell, and Bryce Dallas Howard all knock each other out with some tea that they drink. Why? Fuck you. That's why. Stop asking why. Who cares? And they wake up in the big Division secret hideout base, the big bad guy fortress for the final action set piece of the movie. And Division bad guys are torturing Sam Rockwell, trying to get information out of him, I guess. What information? Who knows? Why? I mean, they know everything, right? They have the master file. They have the thing that they wanted. It also, like, this scene starts with Bryce Dallas Howard waking up and Bryan Cranston, like, throwing the master file into a fire and burning it. But it's like, what's happening? What is going on? You guys already knew where that was. You've known where that was for 5 years. You've been working with the person who had it. And now you're, like, in front of her, like, we're burning this thing that we brainwashed you to write several books to tell us where it is, and then we tried to kill you before you could tell us where it is, but we did all that even though you're our teammate and you're one of us. I hate this movie, and being in bed is not helping. I'm still... God damn it, I hate Argylle. I hate Argylle so much! So Bryce Dallas Howard goes into the room where Sam Rockwell's being tortured, and she just kills him. She just takes a gun and she shoots him in the heart because she's one of the bad guys, and she remembers being a bad guy, and she's like, I'm bad now. But then it's big plot twist number 7. She didn't actually kill him because she's a good guy, actually, and she shoots him through a hole in his heart that you can shoot people through. And they don't die, actually. It's a thing that Jason Fuchs is telling us that exists. And she knew about it, and she did that because she's actually good now. So it's okay, because now she's a good guy. And her and Sam Rockwell start fighting all of the bad guys, and they do that big action sequence with the colorful smoke, and the movie just won't end. It just won't fucking end. It just keeps going, and you're watching the incomprehensible action sequence with the colorful smoke, and you're thinking, at least this is the climactic action sequence. At least this is the last fight of this movie, and the movie's about to be over. But you're wrong. You're wrong. There's at least 30 more minutes, because there's at least 2 more big action sequences in this movie, and we go on to the next one, which is in a room that a bunch of crude oil gets spilled all over the floor. There's oil everywhere, and the bad guys all put down their guns and they say, let's pull out our knives, because they think if they shoot their guns, they could ignite the oil. And now, to explain this next scene to you, I have to go back a little bit, because earlier in the film, when Bryan Cranston and Catherine O'Hara were brainwashing Bryce Dallas Howard's character, they made a really big point out of telling her that when she was a little girl, she liked to ice skate, and she was an ice skating champion. Like, they brought her in like an ice skating trophy, and they were like, look, your name's Ellie Conway and you love ice skating. And when you're watching that earlier in the movie, you're like, why are they making such a big meal out of the fact that Ellie Conway used to be an ice skater? It's so that the movie can do this scene and no other reason. Also, just a side note, one of the ways that they brainwash her while she's in the hospital, it's straight up from Zoolander. You know that scene in Zoolander when Mugatu brainwashes Derek, and it's like swirly cartoon vortexes on the screen, and Mugatu's like, kill the Malaysian Prime Minister, Derek. It's that. Catherine O'Hara straight up puts a laptop in front of Bryce Dallas Howard that's got purple spinning vortexes on it that are like, your name is Ellie Conway, and you're a figure skater, and you're gonna write 5 best-selling spy thriller novels. But anyway, the bad guys are walking into this room that has oil all over the floor, and Bryce Dallas Howard remembers that back when she was being brainwashed, her fake parents made a big stink out of how much she used to like figure skating and ice skating. And she looks at Sam Rockwell and she says, hey, by any chance, was I actually good at ice skating? And Sam Rockwell's like, oh, yeah, no, that's true. You actually were good at ice skating. What? Why? Why? And I shouldn't be asking at this point because I know the answer is fuck you. But, like, why? Why, when Bryan Cranston and Catherine O'Hara were brainwashing their own teammate to believe that she was their daughter, why did they feel like it was so important to include the detail that the real-life Rachel Kyle is really good at ice skating? Why? Why is that part of it? Why? But like I said, it's just so that this scene can happen, and what happens in this scene, and again, I promise you, this is what happens in this movie. Ellie Conway goes, or Bryce Dallas Howard goes, hey, am I actually good at ice skating? And Sam Rockwell says, yeah, you actually are good at ice skating. And she takes 2 knives and sticks them into the soles of the boots that she's wearing. And you guessed it, she ice skates around the oil and kills all the bad guys. And it is awful. It's all CGI because Bryce Dallas Howard is not doing any of that stunt work. No stunt person is doing that stunt work because that's not a real thing that you can do in real life. You can't ice skate on spilled oil with knives stuck into your boots. That's not a real thing. So it all has to be done with really bad CGI, and it's just awful. It's just Matthew Vaughn and Jason Fuchs just giving everybody the finger and just saying, ha ha ha, you already spent the money on your ticket, no refunds, ha ha ha. But luckily, once that action sequence is over, the movie ends, only it doesn't. There's still another action sequence because the universe is a cruel, unforgiving void. So Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell kill all the bad guys in the oil room, and then they're going to go and try to upload the master file to Samuel L. Jackson's character, but they have to get up to higher ground to do it. And they come up to this higher area of the bad guy base, and big plot twist number 8. You thought we were all out of plot twists? No, we still got at least 3 or 4 left, you silly goose. Big plot twist number 8. They are not in a fortress or a base. They're actually on a giant oil tanker in the middle of the ocean. Why? The movie literally doesn't say. It's just like you thought we weren't on the ocean, but we are. The movie is just so obsessed with getting twists over on you that it doesn't care. Like there doesn't need to be a reason for the twist. It's just like you thought we were in a little base somewhere, like maybe in the jungle, but we were actually on an oil tanker in the ocean. And it's like, who cares, movie? I don't give a fuck where we are. Who cares? Just end, please. Just end. Just get to the end credits, for the love of fucking God. And anyway, they're out on the deck of this giant oil tanker, and they're trying to upload this file to Samuel L. Jackson, and it's uploading, and the progress bar is loading, but then it turns out, big plot twist, number 9 or 10, or whichever one we're on, I think it's 9. Catherine O'Hara programmed a thing into Bryce Dallas Howard's brain that when she says these code words, Bryce Dallas Howard becomes like a Manchurian Candidate, Winter Soldier type robot, which again, it doesn't make any sense that she would have done that, because remember, Bryce Dallas Howard was already one of the bad guys. She was already one of their top assassins, so Catherine O'Hara didn't need to do all that work to program a little switch in her brain that turns her into a robot assassin spy, because as far as Catherine O'Hara was concerned, she already was a bad guy spy. Remember? Back from like twist number 7? But whatever, who cares? Catherine O'Hara comes out and she turns Bryce Dallas Howard into a bad guy again. So Bryce Dallas Howard starts fighting Sam Rockwell, and they're fighting, and the movie is refusing to be over. But then don't worry, because big plot twist number 10 comes out, and it's Ariana DeBose, who isn't dead. She's alive because she was actually shot through a hole in her heart, and she was waiting until the very, 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 very last possible conceivable moment to reveal that she had actually been alive for the last 5 years. Also, right now, if you're thinking, wait a minute, wasn't Ariana DeBose just one of the fake characters from Bryce Dallas Howard's book? Like, in the book, it was Henry Cavill and John Cena and Ariana DeBose, and in real life, Henry Cavill is Bryce Dallas Howard and John Cena is Sam Rockwell. So shouldn't Ariana DeBose have been like Samuel L. Jackson or somebody? Like, since they all were just the person put in place of the real person for the book. I know that the 70% of you who liked this movie on Rotten Tomatoes weren't thinking that. I know that your brains weren't thinking that. But for those of you who actually have working brains, if you are thinking that, yeah, you're correct. For no reason, it's revealed that not only is Ariana DeBose alive, but she's also a real person. She's the only person from the books who's the same person in real life. And she's alive, and it doesn't matter because she hasn't been in any of this movie. So we don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about her character, and we don't care at all. The only thing that we care about is that her being alive means that she's gonna knock out Catherine O'Hara and free Bryce Dallas Howard from her spell, and the movie can be over. The movie can now end, and it does. They get on a boat and they drive away, and the movie ends, except no, it doesn't. Why'd you think that it was gonna end? Of course it's not over. It's Argylle. It's the worst movie ever made. It's not done. We still got more twists, baby. Okay, so now it's back where the movie began at a reading of book number 5. So, Bryce Dallas Howard has written another book. She's finished book number 5, and she's reading it to a captivated audience of her fans. And she says, "The end," and the movie's over. Except it's not, because big plot twist number 11. In the audience, one of the people in the audience is Henry Cavill. Except instead of having a flat top and a bad suit, he is like a redneck. He's like an American guy with like a southern accent, and he has a mullet. And he stands up and he's like, "Hey, it's me, Henry Cavill with a southern accent." And then the movie's over for real. Then it says directed by Matthew Vaughn. I'm not kidding you. Fuck you. That's what I said when the movie ended. The credits hit, it said directed by Matthew Vaughn, and I said, fuck you. And you know, that's it. That's the plot of Argylle, and that's the end of this YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/Austin Archer. Actually, plot twist! Big plot twist number 12! You thought the video was over, and you thought the movie was over, because you're stupid and I'm smarter than you. There's a post-credits sequence, because of course there is. There's more stuff to be revealed, and this one is the twist to end all twists. It turns out that the fictional Argylle universe, the book universe for Argylle, the one that the fake author Ellie Conway that Matthew Vaughn invented, that fictional universe is a shared universe with the Kingsman universe. So Matthew Vaughn's spy thriller action series, The Kingsman, is now in a shared cinematic universe with the universe that exists inside of these books, these fake books that aren't real books, these fake books by a woman named Ellie Conway, who's actually a woman named Rachel Kyle, who wrote these books based on her fictional subconscious memories. And we see this little scene from Argylle Book 1, where it's revealed that Argylle exists in the same universe as the Kingsman movies, and then it says, Argylle Book 1, the movie, coming soon. And that's the end of the movie. Fuck you. All the way fuck you.
Congratulations, that was one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen.
Do you get it now? You have to get it now. You have to get it. If you are a person who came to this video and you liked Argylle and you were gonna watch the video to see if I could prove you wrong, come on, that had to have done it. You've gotta be proven wrong at this point. You gotta feel stupid, right? Like, please tell me you get it. Please. And then subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/Austin Archer, and then subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already, and then like, share, and comment, please. 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 Please.
You just said learning's hard.
Oh my god, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I hate Argylle so fucking much!